Hello, Internet friends. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett here in the King 5 studios on this Wednesday evening. And you may be wondering, why am I wearing a puffer vest? Well, first of all, I really like it. I just got it and I want to wear it. But second of all, it's to send a message that it is going to get cold tonight. We've got some easterly winds that are going to pick up. We've been talking about this for the last couple of days. It's kind of what we call the Cascadia wind. And really the idea behind it is that they're going to be easterly winds that will come through a lot of the Cascade gaps. So a lot of the passes, and especially a lot of our communities that are immediately west of the Cascades, so kind of in between I-5 and the Cascades there, are going to experience some very cool dry winds tonight. Overnight temperatures will get into the low to mid 20s in many spots. So trying to get the messaging out there that yes, it's going to be a very chilly night and very chilly morning in a lot of spots. But it's actually the catalyst for change. In fact, we're going to be seeing this pattern where we've got this abnormally high pressure that's going to finally break down. One thing I wanted to talk to you about though is that if you've been thirsty throughout the day today, or you've had a little bit of a dry cough, the reason is that we've got this ridge of high pressure almost directly over top of us. And even though we do have humidity in the atmosphere, in fact, we had some fog and some freezing fog overnight last night, it's abnormally dry out there. So if you've had the low, dull headache, or again, if your throat is dry or your mouth is dry, hydrate a little bit. Cup of tea, some soup, even just a good old-fashioned drink of water will fix that for you. You will feel better immediately. Let's dig into weather here. We've got lots of stuff to talk about. Let's start off with a look at Earth from space. So here's what's happening is we've got this ridge that, again, you can really see clearly defined over top of the Pacific Northwest, and it's keeping that moisture at bay. Now that will change as we go into next week. We're going to see that ridge finally start to break down and start to see some weather coming our way, but it's going to take a couple more days. It looks like late Sunday night into Monday is when we'll start to see the rain train start again. But in the meantime, that high pressure will be the big story. Now, east winds will pick up overnight tonight. We're going to have some of those Fraser outflow winds. I'll show you that in a moment, but a special shout out to Whatcom and San Juan counties and the San Juan Islands in general. You're going to see that flow coming out of the Fraser Canyon in British Columbia, Canada, and that's going to really cool things and dry things in those areas overnight tonight. So it's one of the spots that'll have some 20s. Frigid cold temps are waiting for us on Thursday morning, and again, I'll show you those numbers in just a moment here. I won't tiptoe around that. And then that pattern will finally break, and we'll start to see the rain begin early next week, and we'll start to see some mountain snow. In fact, long-range models are suggesting that we could be seeing some significant snow building in the mountains next week, and well, that's some great news for a lot of reasons. So let's touch on these overnight lows. So kind of the warm spot will be 33 in Seattle overnight tonight, but that's kind of misleading. Take a look up towards Bellingham, Mount Vernon. This is not the feels like temperature. This is the actual overnight temperature. 28 Bellingham, 28 Mount Vernon, 23 in Arlington, and well, I'm being a little dramatic about it. 24 in Olympia, 23 Chehalis, 25 Shelton, 29 Bremerton. You see a pattern forming here. It's going to be cold in a lot of spots, even down towards Puyallup. 23 will be the overnight low there as well. So again, just make sure that you've got a plan in place for some really cool temperatures, and we're going to be seeing those winds picking up. So if the power goes out, you might want to have a extra plan there and some extra blankets on hand. So I'm showing you this for a very specific reason, that air quality is improving. In fact, that burn ban that we had in place over top of Snohomish and Pierce counties was lifted today at 1 p.m. So if you want to go ahead and have a bonfire or any type of outdoor fire, you're free to do that again. But we do still have some haze in the lower levels of the atmosphere. Here's what it looks like in the big picture of the GOES 17 satellite. Again, just a whole lot of nothing going on, especially over top of Washington and Oregon. See that line over top of Washington that's kind of into British Columbia and Alberta? That's what's called a backdoor cold front. It's moving past us to the east there, and that's going to be the catalyst for picking up those winds overnight tonight. But that thing is moisture starved. It really doesn't have a whole lot going for it. So it's not going to deliver a lot of snow to the mountains, but could possibly pick up some momentum as it goes over top of the Rockies. We're going to keep an eye on that. So speaking of winds, watch this right now, and this is what, like I'm recording this at 8:30 on Wednesday evening. Mostly calm, little light offshore flow, no big deal there, 7 miles an hour in Hoquiam. But wind advisory is in place. It'll be in place overnight Wednesday into Thursday evening, and that's basically areas east of I-5. So kind of in that area sandwiched between the western base of the Cascades and Interstate 5 all the way up and down, from the Canadian border all the way down to the Oregon line. You're going to see that wind advisory, and those winds will get up to about 45 miles an hour in spots. So ignore the numbers here. They're a little misleading. take a look at the arrows, especially as we go into Thursday morning. This is right around 7:30. You start to see that offshore or that easterly flow really starting to pick up, especially through Snoqualmie Pass. We'll see it in Stevens Pass, and then up towards Bellingham where it says 8 there. Again, ignore that. Just pay attention to the fact that you've got those Fraser outflow winds. They're dry, they're cold, and it's going to make things really frigid tomorrow morning. We will see some gusty winds along the coast. Quileute and Hoquiam will be in that 20 to 30 mile an hour range with some isolated gusts getting up to about 45. Looks like it's going to last through most of the day until we get up at 5 o'clock on Thursday. We'll start to see those winds slack a little bit. But look, 20 miles an hour in Tacoma, 15 in Olympia, and again, some isolated gusts that will be stronger than that. It's not until Friday morning and that backdoor cold front passes by that we start to see more single digits, and we see a lot of calm all the way from Everett down towards Olympia and out through Puyallup as well. So here's what to expect. After a really frigid start tomorrow, where many of us will start in the low to mid 20s, we'll literally double down and get ourselves into the 50s. Look at that, 52 in Paulsbo. You'll see some 50s down towards the south as well in Olympia and Yelm, 51 in Lakewood tomorrow. Even Enumclaw will get into the low 50s. Out towards the coast, that offshore flow will actually be beneficial to keep the clouds at bay and put folks from Forks all the way down towards Hoquiam in the low 50s, and then off towards the east. Sorry, there's not a whole lot we can do for you. Your high temperatures will be in the 30s and 40s. 7-day forecast shows this benign pattern lasting all the way through the weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll start to see that cloud cover increase on Sunday, and then it looks like by the time we get into Monday, we'll start to see some rain down in the lower levels. And then, as I was alluding to earlier, looks like we'll also start to see some snow firing up in the mountains. I'm not ready to commit to it quite yet, but it looks like, again, long-range models are suggesting that the Cascades could really pick up some beneficial snowpack over about the next 10 to 14 days. And we're a little bit deficient at this point, so that's good news top to bottom. But in the meantime, tell everybody it's going to be really, really cold overnight tonight. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself and maybe keeping an eye on your neighbors if they're a little bit vulnerable. That's it here from the King 5 Newsroom. It's Wednesday evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett. Keep looking up, stay safe, stay warm. We'll see you soon.